We're good. Good morning. It's Wednesday, November 12th at 11:08, and I'm going to call the Climate Action Committee to order. We'll start off with one announcement. West Hants Regional Municipality is in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This land is governed by the Treaties of Peace and Friendship signed in 1726. West Hants Regional Municipality recognizes we are all treaty people and have responsibilities to this land and each other. West Hants Regional Municipality also recognizes African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose history, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. Thank you, everyone. So I am going to start with identification of who is here. So Councillor Deputy Mayor Debbie Francis, and I chair in the meeting. And I'm going to go to I'm going to start on this side. We'll start left side, actually. We'll go left and we'll start with John. Just your name and who you're representing.
Thank you, Chair. I'm John Ogilvie. I'm the Climate Action Coordinator for the municipality.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kunusilan. I work with Clean Foundation as a community navigator.
Hi, I'm Jim Ivey. I'm one of two councillors for the former town of Windsor.
Hi, everyone. Mark Phillips. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer.
Carly Rochon. I'm the Director of Financial Services.
Kathy Keogh, Director of Community Development.
Carrie Fougier, Acting Director of Planning and Development.
Good morning. Todd Richard, Director of Public Works.
Keely McCarthy, Environmental Technologist with Public Works.
And we have one member online. We have Councillor Bonnie Smith.
Bonnie Smith, Councillor, the other half of Windsor.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. So we'll move along and I'll look for approval of the agenda with any additions. If there are any additions to the agenda. Director Richard.
Just make one small addition. Kaylee McCarthy is with us. I'd like to have her appointed as the designate and me the alternate if that works. So she'll be the regular member and then if needed, I can be the alternate.
Okay, that sounds good. Are we good with that? Perfect. Any other? If not, I'll look approval for the agenda as circulated with the addition.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, just signify by hands. It's good. Motion approved. Approval of the minutes from September 10th, 2025. They were circulated in the package. So I'm just looking for a motion to have those approved as circulated. If there's any questions or. Okay, so those will be approved as circulated. We'll move right along to new business. 4.1, information, community climate capacity program participation. And John Ogilvie, if you'd like to take that.
Thank you, Chair. As I noted in my report, I'm happy to announce publicly that West Hants is taking part in the Community Climate Capacity Program through the Clean Foundation. And as we noted in the introductions, to my left sits Sarah, who is our community navigator with the Clean Foundation. So she'll be assisting me in a lot of our climate action work and identifying funding opportunities, helping us apply for them. And yeah, she can, if you have any questions about the program or the committee has any input, and our objectives that we outlined as part of our application are outlined in the report. And Sarah can give a brief introduction of what she does if she'd like to, and we have some time for some questions if anybody would like.
Sarah?
Hi, everyone. So yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to meet all of you and introduce myself. So I'm a recent grad of the Masters of Resource and Environmental Management at Dalhousie. I also have a background in environmental management with a focus on climate adaptation, biodiversity planning, and community engagement. Before Clean Foundation, I was working for a renewable energy developer where I was working, doing a lot of environmental research, climate planning, and again, stakeholder engagement. Yeah, I'm very passionate about community-driven climate solutions, so I'm excited to be here. I am working with West Hants, of course, as well as East Hants. So that's that's again with the Community Climate Capacity Program with the Clean Foundation. If you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer that. But yeah, looking forward to working with all of you, learning and contributing to your climate goals.
Great. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Sarah. Is there any questions for Sarah? Want to put her on the spot right off the get-go? Maybe don't scare her away too quick. No? Thanks, Sarah. So we'll move right along to 4.2, 2 years of Switch West Hants.
Thank you, Chair. As I noted in my report to the committee, the end of October marked 2 years of the operations of our Switch West Hants program in partnership with Switch Pace CIC. There are some results I've noted in my report regarding energy savings and GHG emission reductions, as well as cost savings on an individual level for the participants. As attachment to the report, I've also included a program summary that I received from our administrators of the program that demonstrates participants, projects completed, the energy savings and the emission savings. So that's a sample for the committee to see what I see on a regular basis to track the program and its achievements so far. If there are any questions on 2 years of the Switch program, I'd be happy to take them.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for John on the program? Counselor Ivy?
Just one there, John, if I could, and I'm going down to the graph chart you have there, which I think probably came from the organizers of so 149 participants and 48 agreements. So those don't align. Can you just tell me there must be a breakout of some fashion that I'm not picking up in the footnotes? It's taking my whole screen. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. So in the breakdown of that, participants includes anybody who has indicated an interest in participating in the program. So somebody who was officially requested to take part, and either Switch has done a property online inquiry to our tax department here, to Suzanne. And so that includes those numbers as well. And then the actual agreement signed are the people who have actually said to go forward with the project and actually started financing. So the Switch administrators on a regular basis go through that list of total participants, 149 every few months or so. They go through and actually call them and check if they're still indicating an interest. It's just some people take a while to pull that plug and make that decision. So they get included in that number, but haven't yet signed an agreement.
So that would be the same thing that's being seen in the private sector. People express an interest, they go through the process of getting the study done, and then the paperwork process and things probably start to bog. Is that the gist of it?
Yeah, I would say yes. And with some fluctuation currently in programming from the feds in the province, with all of those things changing on a near daily basis, it's making a lot of people's decisions just that much more difficult to pull the plug on these projects.
Sure. Great. Thanks very much.
Great. Any other questions? No, seeing none. We'll move on to 4.3, 3 years of West Hants Regional Municipality Level 2 EV chargers, and Coordinator Ogilvy.
Thank you, Chair. Again, as of the end of October, this year represents 3 years of the 2 Level 2 electric vehicle chargers that West Hants owns. One being located at the Windsor Community Center on Thomas Street, and the other being located at the West Hants Sports Complex on Centennial Drive, sorry. And so this marks 3 years. I've included in the report some usage statistics, as well as, again, the charging sessions and greenhouse gas emissions avoided. As attachment, I've also included samples of the graphs that are provided from ChargePoint, who have provided us the chargers and the software. And those graphs represent charging sessions as the first one, both on a monthly basis and an accumulative basis. Unique drivers, so individual cards that have been swiped to pay for a charging session versus someone who comes back twice a day or something like that. And then finally, a graph of the GHG emissions avoided, again, on a monthly basis, but also on a cumulative basis over time. So if there are any questions about those and the data included, then I'm certainly happy to take those as well.
Great. Any questions, Councillor Ivy?
Yeah, just one in going through the data, which is great to have because it gives us an indication. So we're seeing an uptick in the number of sessions, and I won't go on to the other two, but just on sessions alone. And it looks like we're starting off at around the 1 to 1.5 a day when we first introduced them. And And it appears to be that we're probably getting close to being an average of 2 a day at present. Am I in the ballpark based on what I see in front of me, John? Like have we broken that down that way in any fashion?
I haven't in this report. It can break it down day by day, but I would say on average 2 to 3 a day. Yeah,
Gotcha.
at this time. Yeah.
So I guess my question on that is, do we feel that we're at do we know what a standard number is in other communities for number of vehicles per day using charging stations? And I realize we're a community of, 18,000, so much smaller compared to any larger metro communities and so on. But are we at where we would expect to be with that number? And I'll put that in the context of, we hear about scale backs on electric vehicle production and the like, and that the numbers aren't where people expected them to be. Are we sort of seeing the same thing here, or am I hearing incorrect information?
Thank you. I'm not aware of in other communities where they stand in regards to amount of charging sessions on a daily basis. That is certainly something I could look into if that's what the committee desires for information. But at this time, I'm not really aware of that. An average charging session, I didn't provide that data in this report, but an average charging session on our chargers right now is between an hour and 30 and 2 hours. And that certainly varies, but some of that time is people can be parked there but not charging once their battery's full too.
Yeah.
So there is that difference, but I'm not totally sure where we stand in terms of comparable to other communities. But that's certainly something I could look at.
If it was easily fine, it'll be sourced. It'd be interesting just to know where we are standing with it. And I'd say that in the context of future investment in new EV charging stations and the like, or are we satisfied with what we have by way of access for volume at present? That's the only reason I ask it, but thanks for the explanation.
Other CAO Phillips?
These are on the level 2 only, John. So as our level 3s, or we'll say ours, adopted charging family, we'll get data on that probably. And we may see a change, because as long as there's a level 3, you're probably plugging into that one instead of the level 2 from a timing perspective. But from a cost perspective, you may find the opposite, because once people figure out how much more it does cost to do the 3 than the 2, people are making those kind of choices, because you are paying for the convenience, I would suggest, for the level 3, which is more per kilowatt hour than you're paying at the 2. So it'll be just interesting how the industry and how users make choices, because from a cost savings point of view, it may not be as significant, but the footprint and all the things that you're also trying to accomplish. So, all right. So these are level 2 only. We'll see how level 3s add to the equation as we move forward. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So maybe for our next meeting, we can have maybe a report just to see how they compare the level 2 and level 3 for a period of time.
I can speak with Nova Scotia Power about that, because they own the chargers and look
100%,
after
yeah.
them. So I can ask them about whether or not I can get a hold of that data before our meeting in February.
Okay, perfect. Good. Anything else? Seeing none, we'll move on. Decision request endorsement of the PACE program expansions. So Dr. Ogilvy, do you want to take that one?
Thank you, Chair. I know this was a late addition to the agenda in terms of the report actually being sent out to you. I hope that you all get a chance to read through it. Essentially, at the present time, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities has funding available to investigate a feasibility and design study of PACE programming expansions regarding funding and financing to residential homes for adaptation. So whether that's flood protection, drought protection, wildfire protection, just hurricane clips on your roof to ensure that your roof doesn't blow off as easily in a hurricane, those sorts of things. In comparison to the existing PACE program, which finances only energy and GHG emission reduction upgrades. So as that funding is currently out there from FCM, and they will be following up study funding with capital funding to actually operate a program. I'm looking for direction from the committee on whether this is something that the Climate Action Committee would like to recommend that council endorse exploring as an option to expand the PACE program. And then if so, we can proceed with a funding application to FCM to actually complete this work. I will note that as part of the decision request and then recommendation to council, as part of the application to FCM for study funding, it would require a cash contribution from the municipality of $20,000, which staff have identified could potentially come from the Climate Action Committee work plan budget for this fiscal, which has not been allocated at this time. So there's $30,000 in that work plan budget for this fiscal year. And one of those options is to use 20,000 of that to support an application to FCM, to also receive 150,000 that would support the actual design feasibility study of adaptation financing expansion for our program. If there are any questions related to that and the decision request, I'd certainly be happy to take them.
Okay, thank you, Coordinator Ogilvy. Is there any questions on that? Nothing from Bond. Okay,
So-
Councillor Ivy?
Yeah, just one, if I could, to be clear that, so there's funding allocated in this year's fiscal of 30, and we can access the 20 out of that. It's not been specified or earmarked for anything else. So that's great. And then future funding would probably be next fiscal. Am I safe and based on time? Yeah, good. Thanks.
Any other questions to Coordinator Ogilvy? So, John, just to be clear, so we need really to be part of this program to have this done, the 20 to access potential funding of the 150 if it should come available.
Yeah, so essentially, as part of this decision request, if council endorses expanding it, we can explore actually applying to FCM for the 150,000, which would be funding to do actual study design of the expansion and the design of the administration processes for an adaptation program. And then that feasibility and design study would support applying to FCM for capital funding to operate a program. Typically, FCM operates on that sort of system where you go study and then operational. And so they like to see you go apply for their study funding, do a study / design, and then use that to help you apply for their capital funding. So that is the type of process they're running with this sort of funding as well. And if the committee and council wishes to go forward with this, that would be the process I would recommend we follow.
Okay, great. Is there any other questions? No, I don't see Councillor Bonnie. Okay, if there's no other questions, there is a recommendation on the screen if anyone would like to make it.
I can make that, but just quick clerical. Is it possible that our agenda package might have had the same report twice? I had the benefit of seeing this report. I just wanted to make sure that the other committee members had seen this. Is that okay? Okay.
It was sent out.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Yep. Separate. Yes. The one
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Okay. So the Climate Change Action Committee recommend that council endorse expanding the property I don't have my glasses, clean energy program in the manner described in the staff report titled Property. There we go. Assess Clean Energy Program Expansion Adaptation Financing, dated November 12th, 2025, to the Climate Action Committee to include financing for residential climate change adaptation measures with the assistance of Switch Pace CIC. Okay, thank you.
Motion was made by CAO Phillips. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Bonnie Smith. Is there any questions on the motion? Seeing none, a show of hands, all those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay, business arising from the minutes. Recommendation 2026-27 CAC work plan. Coordinator Ogilvy.
Thank you, Chair. Following the last committee meeting, the committee expressed a desire to actually see a few more climate change adaptation initiatives added to the work plan for 2026-27. So I went back and added a few items that we as staff consider achievable and that there are some funding opportunities for. So the work plan itself, the new draft work plan is attached to this report, as well as the previous version in its report from the September committee meeting. I will highlight the 3 items that we've added to the to complete section for the 2026-27 plan include implement planning amendments, including coastal and riparian land use regulations for flood protection, investigate completing a climate hazard and risk assessment for WHRM, and using updated GHG emissions inventory and climate risk assessment, develop a holistic climate action plan for both mitigation and adaptation. So these 3 items would certainly set us on a good path as a municipality towards that adaptation side of climate action. And if there are any questions about the current work plan as drafted, I'd certainly be happy to take those.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the additions to the work plan? Councillor Ivy.
Thank you. So the only question I have, I guess, is time-wise. I know that, so we've just gone through the 25-26 budget. This is 26-27. Council started the process, at least in beginning dialogue on budget and still reviewing strategy. So we are flexible, I guess, with this, that should we see changes, A, in strategy or B, in budget-wise, that we're still able to see that this hooks in without finding ourselves in a corner. Is that a safe assumption?
I would say that we can always be flexible with this if council changes priorities or if the committee decides to change priorities. And especially as funding opportunities come and go, we like to be flexible in terms of applying for those when we can to identify an opportunity that's there for them. So we can certainly always adjust if the committee decides to, or if council identifies further priorities, especially if through the budgeting process council, right? So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, so there is a recommendation there if anyone would like to make it.
I'll make it.
Councillor Ivy.
And I hope I have I'm sure I've got the right one, that the Climate Action Committee 26-27 work plan be submitted to council to be placed on file in a manner substantively the same as attachment A to the staff report titled CAC 2026-27 work plan dated September the 10th, November the 12th of 2025.
Perfect. Made by Councillor Ivy. Is there a seconder?
Second it.
Seconded by Councillor Bonnie Smith. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor, show of hands. Motion passed. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move along. Update zero emissions transportation feasibility study and committee input. Coordinator Ogilvy.
Thank you, Chair. So as part of the agenda package for the committee, there are questions included that are intended to gather input and feedback from the committee on the zero emissions transportation feasibility study that we're working on with WSP Consulting. So these questions are really qualitative, and I hope to gather feedback from the whole committee on where that helps shape this study and help us gather these sorts of inputs. And we'll be taking similar but also some different questions to the Accessibility Committee and the Diverse, Equitable, and Inclusive Communities Committee to gather their input and feedback on this study. As this sort of feedback from committees, the public is integral in developing this study and making sure that we have something that's well informed to potentially recommend a path forward for the municipality in terms of a public transportation system. So this list of questions, if the committee has further questions on it right now or has some feedback to provide, that would be great. And if any members wish to take it back with them and then send me the feedback later via email, that would be great too. And then we can include it for the consultants as part of their feedback for the study.
Great, thank you. I do have one question, if I may, before I pass it over to see if there's any else. Is this going to be open for anyone else's input, like for all of council? Or is it just coming from our committee lens or?
So we'll be doing these sorts of questions with Climate Action Committee, Diverse, Equitable, Inclusive Communities Committee, and Accessibility Committee. There will be some sessions held with staff from each department to gather feedback on a operational slash facilities side of things, as well as public engagement that we're looking to do on the 19th and 24th of this month. So notice about that will be going out as soon as we can finalize bookings this week. That'll be going out. We've had trouble finding some specific venues, but that'll be how we gather some public feedback, as well as there will be a survey going out for the public to inform as well.
Okay, great. So there'll be public engagement at like community halls and that's next week.
Yeah, next Wednesday is the first one.
First one, okay.
We'll be doing a full day of public engagement through a couple different locations in the municipality, and then the following Monday we'll be doing it in a couple different locations.
Okay,
Yeah, we had some trouble getting some of the venues that we originally looked at for the time slots we were looking at, so we're still trying to finalize a couple of them right now.
okay. Yeah, busy time of year, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm not sure if everyone wants to, maybe we're all gonna have an opportunity by sounds of it. To just department heads, you'll have it with your groups. If we just want to maybe email you we could get in a lengthy conversation here today, but it might be best if it's going to diversity and everyone else that we email you with any of our thoughts. Does that work for everybody? Counselor Ivy?
Yeah, just I guess a question that it does work, but I think on the surface, the question that I'd be asking, because I get requests on a regular basis regarding where we may be with bus introduction into the community or reintroduction into the community that we had previously. And so we have a zeros emission project that we've got this focused on. Are we going to, in doing this gathering of data and information, have it at what I'll call the early stage steps of where we may see what people's thoughts are on getting transportation as an added service first, and then parse through on the zero emissions electric component of it, because the two of them may not be the same. It could end up being that we see interest in transportation, and whether it's zero emissions or not may not be of consequence to those people that really just want transportation to get moved around. And so I just want to be sure that we're taking advantage of this opportunity to make sure that we can get a clear indication either for both or for one, or however we'd want to look at that, if that's possible. Is that the intent?
Coordinator?
Thank you, Chair. That's a great question, Councillor Ivy. So as part of the study WSP is doing, it's going to be benchmarked against a traditional not zero emission system. So that will be included in the feasibility is, you know, if council chose to and the municipality went with a system that had diesel powered buses, for example, that is an option that will be assessed as well. And then the focus is on zero emissions for one, it's a condition of our grant that we received to complete the study. And two, in a strategic fashion, a lot of the grants now for public transit are focused on either zero emissions buses, whether that's hydrogen or electric, and grants for facilities and infrastructure supporting them are very focused now on zero emissions. So those two components make the focus on zero emissions, but there will be a component of the study that includes an assessment of if the municipality went forward with a diesel bus system to begin with, what would that look like and how could we make it work?
That's great. Thanks very much. And I guess, I mean, even those of us are here doing this kind of work. And so the terminology that for what people are going to determine to be a fixed route versus a responsive versus, you know, and we all speak in language of taxi, bus, car. So I think it's really important that this take place, and I support it. So, but thank you for the detail on how we approach it.
Perfect. Any other questions on this at this time? No, maybe we'll see a grant for an electric bus for us. Perfect. Okay, so nothing else? No other questions on that? Councillor Bonnie Smith, you're good? Okay, then we're down to 6 roundtable discussion. So instead of going one by one, I will open it up to the floor. Does anyone have anything they would like to discuss? CAO Phillips.
Nothing major, just to share our electric vehicle experience. A few of us went to the AMA conference and we took the municipal vehicle purposefully just to see how it worked. So from a driving experience, it was a great driving experience. From a cost perspective, I think when we look at the overall cost, there is a savings. One of the things I would highlight, and John and I have chatted about this a little bit, are those level 3 chargers. That the cost to use the level 3 charger is quite proportionately greater than the level 2. You're paying for the convenience. Now, the folks that are setting those rates will, I don't know how much independence they have to set the rate on a level 3 charger, whether it's owned by Nova Scotia Power or Petro-Canada or even the municipality who's setting the rate. But I expect as you read the newspaper and hopefully, and I hear the discussions or lack of them at the federal level, but hopefully as the charging in the EV continues to grow or at least maintain, you're likely to hear some comments in the newspaper and the general public about this cost because you are now paying for convenience. So personally, it feels like the ideal situation is charging your vehicle at home overnight or at your workplace for a level 2 or below and traveling more locally versus extended trips. Because the extended trip, you're probably going to make the choice for the level 3 charger if it's available. And then you may lose some of the cost savings compared to a small compact car with respect to the cost to charge the car versus the cost of fueling a vehicle of comparable size and scale. So it's just kind of an interesting thing that's happening in the market already that as with life, we're paying for convenience and those level 3s are more expensive because that's what you're paying for. Because it took us about 25 minutes for 80% charge versus say 2 hours for 80% charge on level 2. And as a traveler, that can be a big thing. If you have 2 hours to kill and you'd rather pay the $8, I'll just say, instead of the $40, then it's probably works out for you. But these are just consumer choices and user choices when you get out there in the market. So we were happy to be the guinea pig. It was a success, but those are just a few of the things that we would note as users. It's the chargers that are interesting as they get better, but we're paying for the convenience.
Perfect. Anyone else? Director?
Just on that, further, I didn't realize, it was more expensive, but I guess I'm speculating, but most likely it's the demand, I assume, from the utility perspective, because they have to have that, large demand to be able to charge that. No different than our peak demand, what we call it, for, pumps and motors for our facilities and treatment operations. When we turn a 100 horsepower motor on, one day out of a month, we get charged that same rate all the way through. It's called peak demand. So we'd be interested to see. I assume that's what it's related to, but maybe some feedback from Nova Scotia Power, unless you have some information on that.
Coordinator Ogilvy.
Thank you, Chair. I do know, so our level 2 chargers run at 6 kilowatts and the level 3s, if you only have one car plugged in, run at 180. And if you have 2 plugged in, it's 90 for each port. So of course, that all depends on your car's ability to take that amount of energy at one time, but that is just an indication of how much more energy you're using all at one spike in time. So that's certainly where the extra cost comes in. Yeah.
Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Chair. I guess on the same topic, can appreciate the increase in the speed with which the car can pull the charge, and really not unlike what we see at the gas tank with, regular unleaded Supreme and Super Supreme, or however they package that out from a marketing and a profitability standpoint. But I'm curious if the number that was provided on costing, is it really like an $8 to a $40, or was that just an example kind of off the cuff? Is it that extreme that charging over a 2-hour period would cost me $8, but if I'm looking to be out of there in half an hour, it's going to be, is it that significant?
We actually have the data, so John can break that down for you because I kept all the receipts and everything, but it was substantially more. I'll just say it
Right.
that way. So we can provide the example. We started a little spreadsheet already, I think.
Sure. I just think that'd be interesting to.
Yeah.
It is very much close to that extreme. The level 2, if you're going from 0 to 100, you're probably $10 to $15, but it's very much close to that extreme in terms of a 0 to 100 charge in price difference. If I can get the data from Nova Scotia Power on the level 3 chargers at the sports complex, I can do a quick information report for the committee's February meeting on that comparison, including the data from the recent trip up to the AMA conference. And it certainly would be interesting, you know, for the committee as a whole to be able to see that. And but it is very close to that extreme. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Oh,
Ju-
Councillor Ivy.
Well, just as a follow-on comment, you know, when electric cars were first, and I don't even want to pick the time frame when it happened because I'm going to be wrong. But let's just go back 4 years and the pricing that we were seeing on electric cars and the cost of replacement batteries then. And we ended up doing a trip down the valley in the last month, just kind of scouting out. And the prices were, interestingly, appear to be a lot less than what I had in my memory from what they were 3 and 4 years ago. And so we may see the same thing on charging, I would hope. But, you know, again, demand, and if everybody diverts to the slower but lower cost method, then you may see that other extreme drop down. But it would be very interesting to see what that looks like just for benchmark, I guess.
Great. Does anyone else have anything they want to add to the roundtable discussion? Okay, seeing no lights, I won't put you on the spot. We'll move down to 7, public comments. So we have one lady in the public. Lisa, would you like to come up and would you like to say anything? I won't put you on the spot. This is, okay, come on up and you can turn your light on. Do you want to just turn your mic on? Sorry.
Okay, hi, my name is Lisa. I'm a member of the community. We live over on Avondale, and I put my name forward for a variety of meetings. I've also worked with the Federal Public Service for 26 years, so I appreciate governance, and I'm really engaged and interested in the discussions that we had today. And I like to see that when we know there's climate change happening, that we have action, like a climate action committee to disperse those like resources that are so looked at very closely. My background mostly with the public service has been with Employment and Social Development Canada, and I've only worked for the IT branch, which like right out of college, that's where I went. But I really shifted my career towards strategic planning and IT compliance. So I'm kind of a legal type person. So I just appreciate all of the regulation and important governance that took place today.
Great, thank you. So moving on, our next meeting date will be February 11th, 2026. So not seeing anything else, we will look for adjournment and it's 11:46.